In this episode of The Dudes, a review of the Netflix limited series Baby Reindeer. Plus, Derek watches a couple of older movies that hold up really, really well. Also, Justin does outside stuff for some reason. Plus, Eminem is back with a new single, and College Football 25 dropped a trailer. Strap in, bitches. Here's The Dudes.
How's it going, Duderino?
It's the dudes.
Dudes, how you been doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Well, I'm coming off of West Coast baseball. So every year there's a couple of West Coast trips, and I do a podcast after every Yankees game. And so the game begins around 10 o'clock, gets over around maybe 12:30. Podcast runs until about 1. Then there's about 30 minutes of post-production, and then it takes me a good half an hour, 45 minutes to fall asleep. So we got to stop doing these in the morning after West Coast because I feel... Did you ever see that Simpsons episode where Bart makes Krusty perform like nonstop for like hours, and his eyes are just like drooping? He's like, he won't let me sleep. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
But how was your week,
good.
buddy?
Yeah, it's been good. Just same old, doing the work, living the dream.
Well, what is the dream? What is the dream?
I don't know. It's something I haven't woken up from yet. It's recurring. Involves a lot of work.
You know what my dream is? My dream is to basically sleep until 10 in the morning every day, and then essentially do whatever I want for 90% of the day, work for about an hour a day, make a ton of money, and then go back to sleep until 10 in the morning. So that's the goal. I'm working towards that. I'm not quite there yet. I still got to work 2 jobs. I'm basically working 20 hours a day, so I'm pretty far from that dream. But, it's fun. I went to Maggiano's this week for my 41st birthday, and Maggiano's is my favorite restaurant, and the portion sizes are, like, humongous. So we did
like a week's worth of food.
Yeah. Well, I ate it all at once.
Well,
we did family style, where they bring you like dishes full of like 10 chicken cutlets and whatever. And I basically ate so much that I needed to be airlifted back to the house. Like they wouldn't have even been able to fit me in a helicopter. Like they would have needed one of the slings like they use in Jurassic Park to move a dinosaur. That's how I felt after that. You ever had Maggiano's?
Yeah, it's good. I don't think I've done family style with just 2 people though. I feel like that.
No, we had 4 people. We had 5 people. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I feel like the waiter would just be sitting there like, are you waiting for anyone else? Is anyone else doing? Nope, just me.
No. Anyway, it's a week later, and I am still recovering. But we've actually got some format to the show today we're working on. And I'm going to start with the review. We're going to talk about Baby Reindeer. Pretty slick, huh? Pretty slick, right?
Slick. Lingered a little bit at the end there, but hey, whatever, man.
All right, I'll shorten it. We were really supposed to be able to talk over it, but I didn't.
Oh,
yeah. I forgot to say anything. I was so enamored by my own work. But so Baby Reindeer, I came across it. I was just browsing Netflix, and I'd say 80% of the time that I am watching Netflix is just me adding shit to my queue that I never watch, right? That I never watch.
Yeah.
But I've been making more of an effort lately to actually watch the stuff that I find, right? And so I was in my Magic Hat, my Apple Vision, and I was testing out this new app called Supercut. They don't have a Netflix app, a native Netflix app, but I wanted to see what looks good in 4K or whatever. So I'm browsing, I'm looking at trailers, and I see this one about this stalker, this woman who's stalking a dude called Baby Reindeer. And I'll just break it down for people who haven't seen it real quick. Basically, there's a guy, he's a bartender / comedian. And he's working one day, and this lady walks in, and she's very quiet and very sullen and whatever, and just sitting at the bar, not ordering anything. He offers her a tea on the house, right? An act of kindness. And that sets into motion a stalking adventure of 6 episodes. That
adventure.
Yeah, it
Sure.
was it was an adventure to watch. It was difficult to watch, man. It was
It's
difficult
a hard
to watch.
watch. So watching that trailer, let me just, if you watch the trailer on Netflix and you see it, see me and my wife, we watched it, and my wife was like, I don't think it's for me. I'm like, yeah, I think I'll check it out. But you watch the trailer and it doesn't tell the whole story of what's going to happen here. Let's just say that, like, it's not just about stalking, right? It's about a lot of other things, but the stalker is kind of like what kicks it all into motion.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil like the twist, because there's a few different twists that you really need to watch to appreciate. And if we told you about them, it would ruin it. But basically, the stalking opens up the door to some personal demons that this guy has to revisit. And so it's told, as many stories are these days, in a non-chronological way. There's a section in the middle of the series where it jumps back to earlier events before the series, which I thought was interesting. So it's a true story. This guy, Richard Gadd, he's the creator, he was the writer, he was the director, and he's getting a lot of pub from this. He's been on all the different like talk shows. And then they actually had the lady, the stalker, Martha was not her real name, but she was on Piers Morgan for an hour. Did you happen to see that interview?
I did not. No.
It's really, I mean, it made me realize how well the lady in the show actually portrayed this woman. Nailed it.
Oh yeah, she's the acting's great. Cinematography's great. The chronological order thing was interesting because it took me a little bit of time to figure out we had actually gone back in time. They didn't really, it wasn't a good delineation of, hey, we're going back in time, we're talking about something that happened before this all happened. And you know, other than that, I mean, I have very little to complain about other than squirminess.
It was dark. It was intense. Like, it left me, we talked a lot about with Uncut Gems and some of these movies and stuff that make you feel like you're immersed in the story and make you feel the emotions that the characters are feeling and whatever. And I felt like the camera was always super close to this guy, Richard Gadd. There's a lot of weird angles. There's a lot of harsh lighting. There's a lot of moments like you see him on the toilet and stuff. And there's like, you know, it just felt very intrusive, like someone was invading my life and invading my space and my privacy, which is actually, you know, what was happening to him. So I thought that was really, really well done. The music I thought was hitting perfectly. And you know, they showed a lot about his like his comedy and things like that, and how it was basically like they made it look really not funny, like the crowd wasn't responding, but I was actually laughing my ass off. Like, I thought it was really funny. But yeah, great series. 6 episodes, I think, or 7, something like that.
6, yeah. Like,
how do you feel about limited series? Do you watch a lot of those?
I watch a few. I don't mind. You know, this one didn't leave me wanting more. Like, I felt like it finished the story pretty well, and I was like, okay, I've had enough of this. Like, feeling. It sounds like I'm panning it, but no, it's very well. It's you know, there's a lot of movies and shows out there that you watch once.
Yeah.
This is not one you probably rewatch. Like other ones, other candidates for that, like Requiem for a Dream. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I've seen that many times.
You don't rewatch. You've seen it many times.
I've seen it many times. I've seen it many times, not because I'm thinking, oh, I want to watch this movie again. It's I want to show this movie to somebody. Okay. Right? So I watched it in college, and then I showed it to a couple of different friends along the way. And then if it's on TV or whatever, and I'm scrolling through, I'll stick around just because, you know, Jared Leto is amazing, and Jennifer Connelly, that was like peak performance for her. Well, there's 2 Jennifer Connelly performances that I love. It was Requiem for a Dream, and there's one called House of Sand and Fog.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that? With
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, she gets evicted by, you know, the guy who played Gandhi, Ben Kingsley, and his family, and then it's also kind of like a stalking thing. She starts like stalking them, trying to get her house back and all that stuff. It kind of makes me want to watch that again. But anyway, yeah, I really, really enjoyed Baby Reindeer. I thought, you know, for having just stopped on this randomly and checked it out, I feel good. It's made me more confident to do that. So I've actually done that with 2 other, 2 movies this week. One of them I had planned to talk about, and we will talk about, and that's Conspiracy. But I started watching last night a movie called The Postcard Killing, or Postcard Killings on Netflix. It's got Jeffrey Dean Morgan where he plays like a detective in England, and he's trying to find the person who killed his daughter, who's actually like a serial killer. And yeah, piece of shit. Like, it was not nowhere near as good as no, it was all right. No, it's okay. I'm not done with it yet. I got like a half an hour left. We talked a lot about like I watch my stuff in my Apple Vision now, and you really can't sit for 2 hours with that thing on most of the time. So I'll watch in like two or three sittings. I'll watch for like 45 minutes a piece. But
So did you watch Baby Reindeer in the Apple Vision?
I did. Yeah, it made it much more.
Are you scarred now? Because
it definitely made it feel even more claustrophobic. So
like I said, there's a lot of stuff in there. You're like,
there's a lot. There's a lot. Like, I was not expecting some of the things that happened in that. But I did enjoy it. Do we want to go to the Deuterino ranking system? Is it time?
I think it might be.
All right. So, Justin, what is your out of 5? How many dudes you giving it?
I gave it a solid 4.5 dudes. I'm gonna cut one dude in half. There, throw them out.
I also gave it 4.5 dudes, but remember, that's just like our opinion. That's just like our opinion, man. What's that?
That's a 4. That's not a 4.5.
Oh fuck! I forgot to change it. Yeah. I fucked up. I've been building this show and I forgot
duded it.
I did. I fucked it up. But yeah,
mark it an 8, dude.
I know. 4.5 out of 5. The only thing that I subtracted was just general
discomfort.
It maybe at times went a little bit too personal, a little bit. I know it was doing that on purpose, but like, I don't need to watch a dude jerk off. Like, I don't need it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. There's.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
There was some stuff that just was not into. All right, so we've got a new segment here. Obviously, this show is named The Dudes. Justin's a big fan of The Big Lebowski. I like The Big Lebowski not as much as Justin did, but we are a couple of dudes, so we decided to incorporate a new segment that we're calling Strikes and Gutters. All right, so yeah, there was 2 movies that I watched this week.
Yeah.
That hold up really well. So Gladiator. When was the last? Have you seen Gladiator? I'm sure you have.
I've seen it multiple times. Very good. I haven't seen it in years though.
That's kind of where I'm at. So when it first came out, I remember that my friends were watching it in like high school or college. I can't remember exactly. It was 2002, so I think it was freshman year of college, and maybe sophomore year. And I remember people were watching it, but it was one of those things where you catch like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I had a lot going on. And I never just sat down and watched it. But I remember wanting to watch it. And then when 4K Blu-rays first started coming out, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, that was one of the first ones that came out. And I was like, well, if I'm going to watch these movies in super high def and like try and immerse myself in the experience or whatever, I want to get some stuff that I haven't really watched that I've been wanting to see. So Gladiator was one of my original pickups. And I watched it then. And I really enjoyed it, and I feel like I didn't watch it super closely. Like I was watching it, but I think maybe I got distracted by something, so I didn't really remember it that well. And this week I decided, while I'm in the Magic Hat, let me go ahead and try Gladiator on the big screen and check it out. And man, I loved it. It was amazing. Russell Crowe, terrific. Joaquin Phoenix, ridiculous. The violence was fun. The sound, like the music, the Marcus Aurelius character, one of the best movies I've watched in forever. And I'm gonna start watching it more often now because I didn't realize how much I liked it. It holds up really, really well.
So what you ought to do is you should follow it up with 300 and realize how much Zack Snyder ripped that movie off.
So I've never seen 300.
Really?
I do own 300, but I've never. It's one of those ones that I've bought because everybody said you got to watch 300, and I never watched it. But I do love Ridley Scott. He just did a movie called what's it called? The Last Duel, which is Adam Driver and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and it's about the last known duel for honor, and it tells the same story from 3 different perspectives. Have you seen that one?
No, I'm not.
You should watch that, put on your list as like, if you're, it's long. It's like almost 3 hours long, but it's really good. Like it's probably each story is told about 40 minutes. It's like watching the same episode 3 different ways, and then they have a resolution or whatever. But highly, highly recommend. And then I watched this movie on HBO Max. I've been messing with HBO Max a lot because in the Apple, it's got this immersive environment, so you can watch movies in like the Game of Thrones room, and it's got this gigantic cinema, and it's really cool. It's fun. All these burning torches, and it doesn't look like VR. It feels like you're in like it's amazing. So I watched this movie called Conspiracy. You ever heard of it?
Refresh me. I think I have heard of it.
So it's about this meeting between the SS and all these Nazi officials, German officials in World War II, a couple of years into the war, where they have deported all these Jews. They have them all at these camps. They're forcing them to do hard labor, and they're talking about like, well, what do we do now that we have all these people? It's harder to feed them. We don't have these resources, whatever. We can't sterilize them. And it's basically how they came to the final solution, like the decision to basically kill people. They talk about the gas and all that stuff. It's another very, very heavy, like you watch these guys, some of them are clearly very uncomfortable with the idea of we're going to mass kill everybody. And then some of them are like gung-ho about it. Like, hey, they're talking about the efficiency of their numbers, right? We can increase these numbers of, 2,000 today per day to 60,000 per day. Like it's very like separated from the people there. And it's like when I watch a movie like that from the Nazi perspective, I have to follow it up to watch another movie so I watched a little bit of the Jew perspective with Schindler's List. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just kind of like, all right, I saw the one side. I gotta remind myself that that there were real people here.
Yeah. It's interesting because like there's a lot of parallels drawn when we talk about that time period and how a lot of the Nazis were normal people, right? But with really abnormal ideas about things. Yeah. Like, they go to the store, they take a shit, they're normal people, right? But they are horrible, like ultimately. And it's hard to forget that when they kind of portray them as people, because you're like, oh, these are people, but no, they're terrible.
There's a book by Christopher Browning. It's one of the best books I've ever read. It's called Ordinary Men. Yeah. It's about how regular people can, when put in those circumstances, transition to like these awful human beings. So you went kayaking this week. Tell me about that.
I did. So my wife had a day off. It was a wellness day for her work. So I also took a day off, and we went kayaking on a little lake around here. Had a little picnic lunch, paddled around, looked at some ducks, nature.
Nature's cool, man.
Nature's cool, man.
I watched this documentary on Netflix called Surviving Death, and it's this lady goes kayaking, and she goes over a waterfall, and it's about near-death experiences, but she went over a waterfall, and she got pinned for like 25 minutes and like broke both of her legs and both of her arms. And the minute I watched that, I was like, well, I can just cross kayaking off the list because I would never...
Well, don't go kayaking near a waterfall. What kind of moron does that? Yeah, like, I'm going to paddle upstream. No, you're not.
I think it was probably just bad preparation, right? They didn't realize there was a waterfall there, or that it was as steep as expected, or whatever.
I think kayaking on a river is a bad idea in general, because you're fighting current, and then you go all the way downstream. Unless you have a car parked at the end, you're kind of stuck, right? But a lake is like whatever, man, like a pond.
Deliverance, also a good reason not to go kayaking, right? You ever seen Deliverance?
I have seen Deliverance. That's another one you don't watch many times.
Yeah, I watched that one twice, and again, it was showing it to somebody else. But I can't breathe water, so I try and stay out of the water as much as possible. I just I don't want to. Here's the thing: I don't want to be kayaking or rowboating or whatever and bump my head on a rock and be unconscious. Like that's a big fear of mine.
Well, don't kayak near rocks. I mean, it's really simple. You get on a lake with no rocks. No waterfalls, and you're just floating around. It's kind of relaxing, right? Okay. And as long as you can swim a little bit, you're fine. And if you can't swim, you wear a life jacket.
So I think if I were on a lake like that, I'd probably do the floaty inflatable tube option, where you just, you lean back, you got the drink in the cup holder, you got the headphones in, that type of thing.
That's same idea, except you're less fast. I mean, you're just kind of, I don't know, a beached whale at that point.
I spent a lot of my week fighting with Major League Baseball advanced media about copyrights. So let me just fix. I got some alignment issues here that I'm screwing with here. And sorry, we just built the show this morning, and as I mentioned, I'm very, very tired. So this week, I guess it was probably Monday, I woke up in the morning and I had like all these copyright notices that like I couldn't monetize some of my podcasts, right? So just to tell people who maybe are new here, don't know me from NYY Recaps, I do a Yankees podcast where during the game, I take a couple of clips from the game, not a ton, but basic highlights to let people know what happened. And then after the game is over, I have a 20 or 30 minute podcast where we talk about everything. We show a couple of home runs, we show what the pitcher does and all that stuff. And it's under fair use. I've been told by multiple legal people that it's fair use. I'm completely above board. And I never cut more than like 8 consecutive seconds of footage. Hey, here's one of our guys right now, THG, Wicked 50 Cal. He is one of my mods. And so MLB has never really claimed me for copyright stuff, right? And then I had all these copyrights on Monday morning, and then I realized that all these other baseball content creators were putting out videos that they had the same issue. So MLB is apparently doing like an audit where they send some company overseas the mission to root out people who are using highlights or whatever. And so in the wee hours of the morning, they're clicking on all these different videos and just claiming copyright flags or whatever. And a few of the content creators have had their content flags overturned by appealing them. And so that's what I did. I appealed. I put in a dispute, and I haven't heard back yet, but it could take like 4 or 5 days. So I'm expecting in the next day or two that I'll be whitelisted, which means that I'll be like approved to use highlights or whatever up to a certain degree. But in the meantime, it's been a real pain in the ass, like not knowing what I can do and what I can't, because they used to be very specific about, well, between seconds 28 and 37, you used this clip or whatever, so you can remove it or whatever. But they've been claiming the whole video, which is stupid, so you're not going to get my entire video. They even claimed like college footage, which is not owned by MLB Advanced Media. So there's been a lot of weird issues, and I've been told that if I just apply for a dispute and use the fair use justification, that I'll be in the clear. So I'm working on that. We'll see what happens. I do have a couple of strings at Major League Baseball that I've been trying to pull. I obviously work for another baseball podcast that does highlights, and so I want to be well aware of what we can and can't do. Right. So it's just been a very stressful week. And then also, we got the college football 25 trailer dropped. Did you ever play college football?
I did. I missed that it went away. I liked playing the mascot game. Remember playing the mascot?
Yes. It doesn't sound like they're going to have that, but
what?
Like,
not buying it.
How do you feel about like managing, teams in sports games? Are you somebody who does like, I don't know, like the Ultimate Madden team where you pull in random players, or do you like to do like a dynasty franchise type of thing?
I used to do the franchise quite a bit. And then they started these new game modes where like it's kind of like a fantasy team type of thing. You get cards that you can play as the players. It's really a way for them to monetize things. I don't actually pay money to do this, but like you can get free cards and then you play with the cards and build your team that way. So I like that mode more than franchise, but franchise is pretty solid.
Yeah, I like the college football type of franchise stuff more so than the pro stuff, because you got to like recruit and all that stuff. And this one is interesting because they're designing it for the next gen systems, right? They're not designing it for PS4 or Xbox One. It's strictly the new system. So there's supposedly a lot more things like where limitations from Madden have been removed. So they have this wear and tear system that looks really cool, where every player has individual, like if a quarterback gets tackled and hit in the arm, like their arm will have wear and tear. It'll deduct a little bit from their ratings. Like you can get hit in the leg in a tackle and it'll reduce speed. They've got this blog out, and there's a couple of videos where YouTubers broke down the different stuff. And I don't know, it looks really cool to me. I can't wait to pick that up. But I also got the new Eminem single. You're probably not an Eminem fan. You don't strike me.
I like Eminem. No, I liked his older stuff. I haven't really listened to much of his newer stuff.
Yeah,
I was really into it. Not as much as you, but
yeah. Well, yeah, I was a big Eminem fan. Like he came out when I was in high school, and I've always liked to work out to his music or whatever. In recent years, I haven't been a huge fan of his music, but he had a single the other day called Houdini, which is a real throwback to like the Slim Shady era. It even uses some of the Slim Shady beats, and the whole music video was super cool. It was like this portal opens from 2002, and the old Slim Shady comes out, and then they had like M&Ms from different eras in there using like AI and all sorts of stuff. And the music was a real throwback. And I was reading about this 20-year nostalgia cycle where people tend to like things that are 20 years ago, right? So it's like the perfect time for that to come out. So I'm really psyched. We got a new album coming out called The Death of Slim Shady, and I'm like, that's a strike for me. I guess the only gutter for me this week was the copyright overlords. You got any gutters, or was it pretty much a good week?
It's a pretty good week, man. I mean, there's nothing really to complain about, So
well, not unless you're Trump. I mean, he's got some stuff to complain about.
That poor guy, like, will somebody please think of the billionaires? Please.
I know, right? I got some crap because I was like, I'm not a Trump guy, but I think that, if you get convicted by a jury of your peers, of citizens, even in, like, how easy is it to get 12 people to agree on anything these days, right?
I saw something interesting that one of the jurors listed their main primary news source as Truth Social.
Exactly.
So like this person's like all in, and even they were like, no, he's guilty.
Yeah. So I think, we hear little news bites and stuff like that, but when you're in a courtroom for like 2 weeks and you're seeing all the evidence, it's probably like a lot more impactful. You're not probably, getting all the spin or whatever, but
yeah, there's a lot of propaganda.
I still think he might win the election though, which is kind of crazy. He can't vote for himself, I don't think. Well, maybe he can in Florida. I don't know, but
Florida does not allow felons to vote. They actually, so it's interesting. They voted. They let the people vote to allow felons to vote, and they did. They said, "Yeah, let's do it." And then the government's like, "No, I don't think so."
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to not take too many political sides, but I'm also trying to like, I want to lean into who I am and what I believe a lot of times, and I don't. Like, I see a lot of people just like crapping on Biden because he's old, but to me, things are like, do you not remember how bad things were under COVID and stuff like that? How that was totally mismanaged, not just by us, but like every country mismanaged. Like, I just feel like things are being run by adults right now. And he's like 85 years old or whatever, but that means he's not going to be on Twitter all day.
He is 3 years older than Trump. I mean, they're both really old. Like, they both have physical problems. Yeah. They both have mental problems of some sort. They're both old. I mean, you can't use that old thing as a cover because like they are both visibly, noticeably old. Especially when you hear them talk at long lengths, it's like, oh yeah, that guy's old.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, it's like it's more about if it was Biden who did the things that were done, I'd be like, yeah, throw him in jail, man. Like I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and like pick sides because of red and blue. I think that the team stuff is stupid anyway. We should have like more unity. But this is like you committed a crime, and just because you're rich and powerful does not mean you should get away with it.
Yeah, 100% agree. All right, what should we watch next week? We had a request for Fall Guy. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that yet. I've heard good things. I think it's based on the old like Lee Majors TV series.
I've never seen any of that, so that might be.
I watched that like a long time ago.
Yeah, Lee Majors. That's the only thing I know from. There's a movie called Scrooged, which is a Christmas movie with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
And in the opening scene, they have it's Lee Majors, the $6 million man. That's the only thing I've ever seen him in.
Yeah,
but I'm thinking maybe Fall Guy, and then we got some trailers we can review coming up because we got. We can talk about the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. We're gonna go see that. Hopefully, I bought tickets.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you're available that day, but I feel
I'll
like
make myself available.
We'll fix it. Even if there's a Yankee game that day, I'm gonna go see that.
Have you seen the popcorn bucket they have for that?
I have not.
It's like a Wolverine head with like a gaping mouth and the popcorn's like coming out of it and stuff. So yeah.
I'll check it out. All right, we got a new outro, everybody. Appreciate it. Justin, thanks you very much. Thanks for fixing your sound so you don't sound like Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
Hey, I fixed it last week.
Did you?
I did. It was good last week. It was a week before that.
That's right. I've told you, my brain right now, I've got serious sleep deprivation problems at the moment. So
go get some sleep.
1-2 Freddy's coming for you. All right, we'll see you next time.
The Dudes thank you for watching. You can subscribe to the channel, you can check it out on all of your favorite podcast platforms, and you can tune in each week for new episodes. We'll see you next time.